Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Leonard Pinckney, aka Agent P, aka LP, here to give you guys another Nuggets talk recap. This time with the Jazz and our Denver Nuggets. Not a good night, but let's go ahead and get through it, y'all. Well, first quarter, 6:46 mark. It's 18-9 Jazz. Utah was just scoring really well. They had made 4 early threes in this stretch, back to back from John Collins. 3:31 mark. Their lead is still at 10 at this point, 27-17. Jokic finally decided, hey, I'm going to stop passing the ball. John Collins is guarding me. I'm going to go score. Got 2 back-to-back buckets, but Utah was still scoring too easy offensively. And they were up 11 after the first quarter. They shot 65% in the first and made 5 threes. Jokic and Murray had 13 in the first quarter. The rest of the team had 11. Second quarter, 9-minute mark. It's 43-29 Utah. They were just carving up Denver's defense, man. They were up to 6 threes at that point. 6:06 mark, they're at 14. Nuggets are still playing zero defense. But after this, they showed a little bit of life. Quick 7-0 run from the Denver Nuggets prompted a Utah timeout. They finally decided to, hey, we're going to play in this game. 2:15 mark, it's 59-48 Utah, They answer back with an 11-7 run and still shooting the lights out. At the half, they were up 18, 71-53. Utah shot 62% in the first half. 62%. Denver was at 42%. Jazz were 9 of 18 from 3. Denver was 5 of 17. Jokic was playing well-ish. 15, 5, and 6 from him. Murray was 3 of 9 with 9 points and a game low -24. 4 players in Utah were already in double figures. Clarkson had 16, Sexton 14, Lowry had 11, and John Collins had 10. Into the third, it's 80-66 at the 7-minute mark. 11-2 run by Denver. It looks like they're going to potentially make a comeback here. They finally started to string together a couple stops. And, hey, man, they were down 71-53, get it down to 14. It looks like you can make a comeback here. But immediately after this, Utah answers. They go up 20, 91-71 at the 4:16 mark. There were a couple possessions here where Denver just couldn't get the stop or they couldn't secure the ball on a couple 50-50 chances. There was a chance where they could have got the ball. It just trickled under somebody's leg. Utah got a layup, and it was after like 20 seconds of good defense. And there was another play where they played another good long possession of defense, and then Jokic saved the ball under the basket. It found Walker Kessler for a dunk. So it was just a couple plays like that went against him. And then defensively, other than that, they still were getting stops. They went up 20, and Utah was up 22 at the end of the third, or 21 at the end of the third. Utah's percentage only went down to 55% at that point. The defense, other than that early stretch in the third, continued to be awful. My notes for the fourth quarter for verbatim are Utah up 21 at 10:21 mark, 7:52 mark, Utah's up 108-87, and at that point, the starters get pulled at the 5:59 mark when they're down 25. And the Utah Jazz, the bench actually came in and cut the lead a little bit, but it didn't matter. Utah won 124-111. Our headlines for tonight. What did Jokic do tonight? He had a good game. 27 points, 11 boards, 6 assists, but he also had 6 turnovers. He had like 2 in the first quarter that were just really bad, lazy passes. He had 3 in the first half overall. He was just trying to make plays in areas where he was just off. He was making the wrong read, and that's just what happens sometimes. Still shot the ball incredibly well, though. 8 of 9 from the field, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. I thought he eased into this game a little bit too much. The Utah Jazz started with John Collins on him, and he decided that he wanted to be in facilitator mode. And once again, I've talked about in the past about Jokic's approach in some of these games, I think he picked the wrong approach tonight. The approach should have been put John Collins in the fucking basket, because there was no way he could have been guarding him. He was trying to facilitate a little bit too much early, and I thought that was the wrong approach. I know I'm not going to try to criticize. I'm bringing it up because we're talking game to game with these guys. And tonight I just thought he picked the wrong approach. It's not an indictment on his entire game. I just thought tonight he picked the wrong approach. And when he finally decided to shoot against John Collins, it was 2 really easy buckets inside, and it was like, oh yeah, I should just score. There's certain nights where Jokic has a incredibly big advantage against the person that's guarding him. Should have won at John Collins tonight, didn't, and instead had a really solid game, but not one that impacted the scoreboard much. Coupling that with just the poor defense overall, they were just never in it. Jamal Murray looks like he's laboring, y'all. I don't know what's going on, but he's been back for a good stretch now after coming off the hamstring and the ankle turn. But he was quoted before the game. A lot of the Nuggets have talked about this before, about how tough the schedule has been early on. They lead the league in back-to-backs with 9 right now. It was nice to see them get 2 days off, but I guess it really didn't help. They're still just trying to do their best to get over the finish line here. I think the All-Star break is something this team is really looking forward to. But over the next month, they don't have any more back-to-backs, and they only have one in February. So hopefully that's something the schedule can ease on them a little bit while the rest of the league catches up. But Jamal was just terrible tonight. More bad decisions from him. He had 17 points on 6 of 15 shooting, 6 assists, and 4 turnovers. Team low, minus 27. He just was doing a couple of games ago against the Magic when he was just trying to go at Jalen Suggs the whole night. Tonight he was trying to do some of those same things, and he just had no legs. He couldn't get by nobody. Defensively, he was getting blown by. He just had a really bad game overall. He was trying to make plays, and they weren't working. Couldn't find the rest of his teammates either. It just was a tough night. Rest of the guys didn't really contribute either. Porter had 5 points, 2-9 shooting, was nowhere to be seen. It's kind of like that though. If Jamal's gonna have a high usage on the offense and not look for other guys sometime, and then Porter's a guy that's gonna be negatively affected by that. KCP and AG both had 12. They just had okay-ish nights. Don't really have anything bad to say about him. P. Watt was 1 for 8. He made his very first shot, which was a 3. He thought it was a good night coming. It was not. Reggie Jackson, 5 points, 2 of 7 from the field. And Christian Brown had 5 points. He still looks lost offensively, man. We got it. I'm getting a little worried about Christian Brown because offensively, he just doesn't look like he knows what he wants to do. He gets caught in between a lot of things, passing the ball, trying to be aggressive, trying to shoot threes. He's shooting well from 3 this year, which is a funny thing. He maybe needs to just focus on kind of doing one thing at a time and not trying to be somebody he's not. He's just trying to do too many things at once. He's kind of feels like his brain is a little bit racked right now. So hopefully he can just simplify it. He had a couple of nice plays where he just dunked the ball. Like that's what we need him to do. Straight line drives, dunk it. If you're open, shoot it, and then make the extra pass, move around, and cut. Don't need to make it more complicated than that. Stats talk, Utah shot 62% in the first half, 55% for the entire game. The Nuggets defense was just awful tonight. Like I said, I think they just tried to ease into it too much, and Utah punched them in the mouth. Once they did that, couldn't recover, and it turned into a blowout. Utah were never this loss was never in doubt. This win was never in doubt for Utah. They were winning the entire game. Nuggets are now 26-13 overall, and they're going to be in the midst of the toughest part of their schedule, I believe, for this season because they're going to be playing New Orleans next, who's been playing really well as of late. They get that game on Friday on ESPN, so it's going to be a lot of national TV games for Denver as well here. So they're going to be under the microscope of the national television audience. They're going to be playing Milwaukee twice. They got Philly twice. We got Boston on deck. Got Indiana twice. So there's going to be a lot of tough opponents in this next stretch. I'm interested to see how Denver responds. This is not a good start to that. But credit to Utah, man. They've beaten us, the Bucks, and the Celtics. I think it's us, the Celtics. No, it's us, the Bucks, and the Sixers back to back to back. So 3 really, really good wins for Utah. They're playing really well right now. They're now back to 500 at 20-20. So shout out to them, man. They're playing really well. Thank you for listening to the Nuggets Talk Recap. I'm your host, Leonard Pinckney, a.k.a. LP, a.k.a. Agent P. Thank you guys again for listening, and I will see you next time.